All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Michigan Edition. Dan, what's going on, man?
These last 2 days of work have absolutely sucked, so I'm just looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah. I don't know that I have anything major going on throughout this week. Looking forward to another weekend off. Obviously, this past weekend was very busy. So Saturday we were supposed to have two of my sons. It's winter go home, but we felt really good about how their team would look going into the soccer tournament they had. And it was supposed to be 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday if you were to go the distance. Well, they canceled the Saturday games. So his team played all 4 games on Sunday. We got there at about 8:30 in the morning.
Oof.
And his first game was at 9. Now, mind you, they hadn't let up a goal all year. They played 6 games. They were 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
And the first game, they won 9-0. He got to score in that one, which is cool. He mainly plays defense. So he scored in that one. And then the next game, it's against Rossford, another local school around here.
Mm.
And within the first, minute, Rossford scores. So we're down 1-0. And it was kind of like a punch in the mouth. It was like, oh, shoot. And then we had kind of tied it up. Then they took another lead, and it's like, we are not about to lose this game. And then we ended up winning that one, I believe, 5-2 or 6-2. And then the following game, we won 4-0. Really tight game. Coaches were kind of spatting back and forth at each other.
Yeah.
The opposing coach was kind of arguing about the talent level and whatever. It doesn't matter. Then the championship game, we won that one, I believe, 4-2. That one was tight. That one, the other team got some goals in, and we ended up going 10-0 on the season. It was really cool. But that was just like my weekend. I felt like it was all completely dedicated to soccer. And it was just like I went to work on Monday just feeling like, oh, I need to sit down.
Well, my kids both are in soccer this year, and they have the same coach, but they're in obviously different age groups. So when we have one game, the next game is right after that. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, we got the same coach. But
that totally works out scheduling wise, though.
Oh yeah. What grade is your son in?
He played in U8. He's in 2nd grade right now.
Okay, so they keep track of score and everything like that.
Oh yeah. So, but you can only win by a maximum of 4. So even if you win by it's 10-0, the score is recorded as 4-0. Or if let's say you won 9-1, you would win 5-1. It's only a +4.
Gotcha. Because my daughter is doing soccer for the first time this year, and she is in 2nd and 3rd graders, and even in my son, he's K through 1, or no, he's K through 2, and I think she's 3. I don't know. Or she's 3 through 4. I don't know. Either way, then none of them really keep track of score, so it's just like 4 games for both of them, 2 practices before, and then 1 each week for the games. But it's nothing like standing wise. So once the 4th game's over, they're done. So Saturday canceled because of the weather. It was inclement. Obviously, it was raining all night. And so this Sunday, whatever, they have technically their 3rd game, and then we'll have another one attached on. So it wasn't too bad. But the coaches that we played against last week or 2 weeks ago kind of got a little heated with our coaches. It was kind of funny because the coaches that we were playing against coached my son last year, so there was familiarity there.
Yeah.
But it was fun because it got a little heated there on the sidelines.
That's always fun. That's always good banter.
Yeah.
I did get to watch this Michigan game because I had started to watch it, and I thought I was going to have to leave for the tournament, but we got a text that the games were canceled. So I watched this entire thing. Michigan starts pretty slow. It's 7-0. Indiana after 1, and then Michigan's like, oh wait, we have a game today, and just completely turns it on for 52 unanswered. A complete team effort. I thought the team looked really good, especially in what was considered to be just like shitty elements, cold and rainy. Tickets were dirt cheap online because people weren't going to the game. Student section was empty as always. But impressions of the 52-7 win.
Yeah, I said in the preview for my show in here that I don't think this is an Indiana team that's going to normally keep it close. I think Michigan pulls away and wins big. And after the first quarter, I was like, damn, I'm completely wrong. And then 52 unanswered obviously popped off. But yeah, complete team effort. They, JJ McCarthy in the stat sheet, fumbled twice. Well, that obviously didn't get recovered, so it wasn't a turnover. But so it wasn't completely like picture perfect, but the defense created absolute havoc again. Benjamin Hall came in late in the game and got 9 carries for 58 yards. So Indiana's defense is kind of, bending them, breaking a little bit there. So he got the leading total in yards, but he looked good as a freshman. We obviously been waiting to see him all year long. It's been pretty much the Khalil Mullings show in the second half, but Benjamin Hall had some shining moments. Blake Corum didn't wow you in the yardage department, but scored 2 touchdowns. So the road to 55 continues. And, Donovan Edwards kind of got vultured there. He brings him down in within the 1 to 3 yard line.
I want to talk about that. Don't go too much further than that.
Okay. All right. Well, anyways, so Blake Corum snipes that one, gets 2 anyways. Colson Loveland had 1, and real quickly too is that I texted in the fantasy chat. When that play happened, JJ McCarthy was getting blitzed right up the middle, and he rolls out to his right and then directs Colson Loveland upfield and throws him a dart, and then he finds 2 blockers downfield and rumbles into the end zone. And I said that, Cade doesn't make that throw. And, if Cade was in that pocket, he's getting sacked. And that's going to be a dead drive. It's over with. But because JJ McCarthy can use his legs, roll out, and he's got a cannon, I'm not trying to, sound like I'm blowing the dude, but it was a phenomenal play.
Yeah. Some of the things that I just thought kind of stood out, I feel like we say this a lot, but it's like this was the stereotypical JJ McCarthy game: 14-17, 222, and 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. I love that Jack Tuttle got in. I was talking to you in the pregame about this, that I was hoping Jack Tuttle would get a touchdown to AJ Barner. He didn't throw one to AJ Barner, but he still got the throwing against his former team, which was kind of a feel-good moment. JJ ran out in the field and kind of, gave him the helmet hat. It was nice to see Benjamin Hall get some touches. I thought overall it was a total team effort, but I say that and I want to digress a minute because you brought up something. Start from the play where JJ kind of flips it to Donovan and take it over.
So you want me to bring it in from that play over?
Yeah. So JJ obviously breaks out on what's about to be a dead play, and he flips it to Donovan, and Donovan makes a couple guys miss, takes it to the goal line.
Yeah, and basically Pat Mahomes-esque style. And so they give the next carry to Donovan Edwards. He comes up short, and then I believe that was either there was a time. I feel like there's a time. Maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe there's a timeout at the end of the quarter or something like that.
Okay, so let me. So it's right after this flip. He takes it to the 1 or 2.
Right.
And at that point, it's only, if I'm not mistaken, it's 14-7.
Yeah.
So we're about to go up 21-7. Okay, and Donovan waves off Blake.
Yeah.
Blake's about to come in because it's short yardage.
Yeah.
Donovan's waving him off. So then coach has to call a timeout because he wants Blake in there for the short yardage. It's still technically it's still a competitive game in this situation. We're not stat padding at 21-7, especially not when you were down 7-0 in the first quarter. So this isn't fourth quarter garbage time. We're still being strategic, here. And he calls a timeout. Well, this had Twitter up in arms. This had Facebook up in arms. This had Michigan groups up in arms. Everybody's saying Donovan Edwards is going to the transfer portal. First off, he's going to the NFL after this season. But regardless, what are your opinions on the fact that he basically got pulled out for a 1-yard carry for Blake that Blake then scored on? What are your opinions on this? Because this had social media literally pissed off.
Well, he did take a carry. He did take 1 carry though, right? And he didn't get in.
No.
It was just the pitch.
It was right after the pitch.
I swear he had 1 more carry, but either way, he had a shot. But I don't know. It sucks, but Blake Corum is the, I was gonna say bell cow, but he's the top dog. So I'm not.
What do you say to people that say he's going to go to the transfer portal because of this?
He's not going to the transfer portal. That's idiotic. It's idiotic because he's not in the transfer portal because he got sniped on 1 touchdown. It's just not going to happen.
Do you think there's something to the fact that over the last several weeks, especially since Big Ten play, we've seen Khalil Mullins get an uptick in touches, and Blake is still getting his. He's getting all the goal line. He's not really getting the 3rd and 1s. That's been Khalil Mullins. It has not been Donovan. Donovan gets a total of 11 touches in this game. Benjamin Hall gets 10. Like, there's got to be something to that. And don't say it's garbage time because, like, Donovan could be getting some of this garbage time.
I mean, possibly. I don't know. I don't know if they. I still think they value Donovan Edwards really high, and they don't want to. They don't want to risk, getting him battered and bruised too much. I guess. I mean, on the season, Blake Corum has carried it 96 times, Dono 60 times, and Khalil Mullins 23. So Donovan Edwards is still by far out carrying him, but he's averaging 3.3. Mullins is averaging 6.4. So at some point, you're going to have to be like, listen, like, you're out there with the starters in the first half. If you're, I went through the stats a few weeks ago. It's like if you're going to go out there and you're going to average barely over 3 yards per carry, and then I got another guy over here that's getting far better than that, double that, at some point it's just like, all right, well, it's time to platoon swap. So it sucks to see because obviously last year, Corum and Edwards were 1A, 1B, and they were gashing people sometimes in the same game. So we'll have to see, man. They might have to rely on him as we get deeper in the year for health's sake, and give the burden to somebody else. But I don't know. I'm not thinking he's going to go to transfer portal, all that stuff. I think it's just overreaction. And I'm not saying it's a shoe-in that he's going to go into the NFL after this year. He might come back. I don't know, but it'll obviously depend on where his draft stock is. But it's not going any higher. His best games are still in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of said before the season started that his goal is to go to the NFL. Obviously, people's plans change. I think Taylor Lewan was going to go to the NFL. He ended up coming back. I mean, there's definitely instances where players would just be like, you know what, unfortunately, I didn't do a ton for myself. But there's something to that. I just think, like, Donovan, I mean, on 2 touches, he gets 33 yards receiving. And, rushing the ball, he's getting 2 yards a carry in this game. It's just like he ends up scoring. But, when he gets pulled off the field, they have to take a timeout. I don't know if he got scolded. He may have gotten briefly scolded. Like, listen, if we say you're coming out, you're coming out. I totally respect Donovan for trying to, wave him off, saying, like, let me just punch this in. The momentum's here. Let's not sub because that allows them to sub. I mean, there's definitely a thought process to that. I don't think Donovan was being selfish, but I think when you pull him off there, maybe there's a talking to, maybe there's not. It panned to his face after that Blake Corum touchdown. He didn't look happy. And there's a bunch of people that are coming up to him on the sideline, hitting him on the shoulder pads. First off, I was never a Blake guy. I was a Sam Haskins guy. And then, like, as soon as Blake kind of took off, I'm like, wow, this kid's way better than I thought. I've always been a Donovan guy. I've always thought he was, like, the guy. Last year, I thought he was going to win the Heisman, not Blake. And it just, like, Donovan never got it going until Blake went out. It almost feels like Donovan's not a very good complimentary back, but he's a very good one back, if that makes any sense.
Right, and I think it came down to he hasn't scored yet, so that's why he just wanted to get that monkey off his back. So if he had 5 touchdowns up to this point, it probably would have been like, all right, yeah, okay. But
yeah, you know what? And I didn't even think about that. That plays a massive. This was his first touchdown that he got later in the game. At that point, he was like, "Damn it, coach, just let me punch this in. Like, I need this for myself." Mm-hmm. And obviously, they pulled him out, and that kind of probably tore out his confidence a little bit. You're probably right. Anything else on Indiana before we go into how we win, how we lose, how we improve? Do you have any more notes on this game?
No. I think we
Okay.
I think it all.
I'll start. How we win the JJ's 3 touchdowns, passing it through the air. If we're able to continue this pace and JJ can, break the Michigan single season passing touchdown record, which is laughably at 25, and we're still this efficient, 42 carries for 163 and 3 more touchdowns, you're going to have a lot of production. But I also like the pressures, 4 sacks in this game. It just seemed like they were just completely controlling how this game was played. What do you have for how we win?
So, kind of already talked about these two guys, but Benjamin Hall got some solid burn, showed that he has some that spring game flash still.
Yeah.
Jack Tuttle so far in his brief times coming in and out of the game. Usually, obviously, when it's put away, defense is a little bit more lax. But I mean, he's shown so far that he can hold down the fort if need be to go in there in an emergency situation. And at least from what I've seen, he's light years better than John O'Corn already. I'm liking this Samaj Morgan. This is the second touchdown of the year. Getting involved, and it's not a ton of work, but he does get in there to get some snaps, and showing good potential. Kind of look like a little Roy Roundtree out there with the screen pass he took Saturday. And then lastly is this is another game where Michigan gives up one play for a touchdown, one big play. This one was a trick play, but I think that overall it was a good adjustment on their behalf, because I didn't know this going into the game. Indiana had fired their offensive coordinator and they hired Rod Carey, and I didn't know that until they mentioned it in the broadcast. Till Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt mentioned it, but they had no film on this scheme or this play calling style, whatever you want to call it, and they adjusted before our eyes. So basically, Indiana was moving the ball at times in the first quarter, getting a play here or there, and then the defense settled in after the trick play and basically, shut lights out the rest of the game.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, the defense was there on the trick play. It was a blown coverage by a safety that, for whatever reason, he didn't think the 3 corners that were down at the line of scrimmage were enough to make the tackle. He decided to run up, and he got burned. So shit happens. It was Keon Sabb that I think makes that play, that the blown coverage, and he ends up getting a pick later in the game. So it's like, you know what? I'd rather have him on my team than not. So. How we lose? What you got?
JJ getting sacked 4 times. I thought that was a little uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
So I want to see the offensive line, to take care of that. And I guess really outside of maybe playing devil's advocate with that one big play that they gave up on defense, is being up 35-7 and running a design run for JJ. Now, I'd rather, if he's going to be I don't have no problem with him being in the game, being up, many scores, 4 scores, but, hand the ball off, run a play where he doesn't have to run unless it's a broken play. I thought that it was an unnecessary hit, and, players are going to be gunning for him if he's going to be playing that late in the game, running the ball out in the open. So I just didn't like that one. But yeah.
When I was watching that game, I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
Can we treat this guy like he's actually probably the most valuable player on our team? Like, let's not do that.
Right.
Yeah, for me, it was slow starts. While he did not lose them, JJ fumbled the ball 2 different times in this game, which was kind of careless of him. He's had spurts this season where he's been kind of careless with the ball. Obviously, he's had that in his past too. His freshman year sticks out. Those 2 things: slow starts, sloppy football. And how we improve, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but I just need to see Donovan Edwards be what I think he can be. I think that is probably the biggest thing right now, is just like to really put this team over the top. And I do want to see some consistency out of Cornelius Johnson. I feel like he came back. I believe this is his 5th year, is it not?
He might be on year 6. I can't remember.
Let me look here quick.
He's been here for a while.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is year 5. Okay. And here's the thing. His 2019 is his freshman year, 4 for 60. 2020 is 16 for 254. 2021 was his best season, 40 for 627, 3 touchdowns. Last year, 32 for 500, 6 touchdowns. So his best touchdown year. 2 of them were in the Ohio State game. Okay. And then this year, kind of slow. He is averaging a career high yards per catch, but it's 19 for 357 and a touchdown. So I guess he's on pace to have his best year. Maybe I need to shut up.
I'm not going to kill the guy, but I mean, he'll take a step back and then he'll go 3 steps forward. So sometimes he'll have a drop, but then he made up for it against, I think, was it Nebraska maybe? But
yeah. Like, his games are so weird because, as you just alluded to, I have his game log here. At least I did. It went away. Okay, it's gone. But anyways, he's had like a 70-yard game and then a 0-yard. Here it is. So 70, 82, 71, 32, 86, 15. He's flirting with the 70 to 80s, but he's had some 30s, some 15. I don't know. This feels like it's been less than, but maybe he's been all right. He's just been quiet in the touchdown range, I guess. I'll shut up about him, I guess. But yeah. Did you have something for how we improve, or did you already say it? I missed it.
I did not. I just want to just keep seeing us be forcing turnovers, and when we haven't really faced an elite style quarterback yet, and we're going into this weekend against a freshman quarterback that Michigan State's going to be rolling out. And so if we just repeat, I mean, ever since conference, I say pretty much all year long, but emphasizing these conference games, they are turning the ball, creating turnovers, getting interceptions, and getting physical with the man under center on the other team. So that's really what I want to see continue. And just hopefully the offensive line and defensive line to continue to evolve. I mean, the defensive line is obviously better than the O line, but I want to see the offensive line continue to open it up here.
Anything else on Indiana?
No.
Let's talk a little Week 7 games. Colorado, Friday night, kicks off at, I believe, 10 o'clock. They go into the half 29-0, and they somehow lose the game 43-41 in 2 overtimes. Opinions on Colorado?
Yeah, that was that was a wild one. They definitely, I think they were trolling Shadur Sanders online because he apparently at halftime was posting his merch on Instagram and social media. So,
oh my gosh.
Again, we talked about it before, man. They're going to be running to their part of the schedule here where it's just is brutal for them, and they're not going to have it easy. They're going to be fighting for a bowl game. So if anyone again thought that this team was just after beating Nebraska and Colorado State, we're just going to go out and just push for a conference championship, it's just not going to happen. I thought Travis Hunter getting burned a handful of times on defense. I think that I don't know. It's not in front of me. I don't know his snap totals, but I really
149.
149. I think they need to dial that back a little bit.
You don't say. After coming off a freaking midsection injury.
Yeah, I think you need to dial that way back. I thought when Michigan was using Jabril Peppers, I thought that was right at the borderline of how you should utilize a two-way player, but I think he's better on offense by
I agree.
By a long stretch. So you either keep him at wide receiver or a Percy Harvin role, or you do something, because 149 is absurd for anybody.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with him playing the first quarter on defense and maybe the fourth quarter on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is like 149 plays.
And he's not a big guy. He's not a big of a guy.
Like, Do you even realize how crazy that is? 149 plays. Traditionally speaking, in an NFL game, a good team, if they're clicking, is getting maybe 60 plays
Right.
on offense. Can you imagine Justin Jefferson playing an entire game, 60 plays, right? And then he also plays another 60 on defense and somehow played more than that? Like, you can't fathom it because it's insane. At some point, you just have to say, he's no longer a 5-star player if we play him 149 plays. That's just bonkers. And he had 150 against TCU. So it's like, but coming off an injury, I just thought that was stupid. But enough of Colorado. They suck. Vanderbilt sucks too, but they keep it close with Georgia for a minute. Georgia wins 37-20. They stay number 1. Michigan takes care of business. Ohio State goes to Purdue, takes care of business 41-7. There's really nothing that's really challenging in the first 6. And then we get a banger. Washington hosts Oregon 7-8. Did you watch any of this game?
I watched part of the first half. I don't know why I think I was just distracted with another game where I was doing something else. But I definitely was rooting for kind of Washington there. I thought Oregon's threads were fucking dope. The helmets were dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Washington went out and did a great job. They came back there at the end. It looked like Oregon was gonna edge it out at the end, and Washington came back, and it was a fun game to rewatch there.
Yeah, some coaching decisions, some head scratchers. Missed field goal at the end to tie it up. But these are two of the better teams in the country. I don't think any less of Oregon having to go on the road in that hostile environment, play their ass off. I think that's a very good football team. And to be honest, I'm just glad that it's going to only be one of Oregon or Washington, because to be honest, right now, the way Michigan has looked, Georgia, for whatever reason, they just had this stigma. They kind of scare me. Haven't seen what I think Ohio State could potentially be. Florida State's a wild card because I don't think much of them, but it wouldn't shock me if they were much better than I thought. Penn State, we'll see. But Oregon and Washington both, I'm like, these are juggernaut teams. So take each other out. USC, Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams, they travel to South Bend against number 21 Notre Dame, and they get their asses handed to them. Caleb Williams, 3 picks. What's that?
All of those were in the first half too.
Yeah. They were pretty miserable this game. Obviously, it's cold and rainy. The Irish were trying to kick off in this game. It was really just an absolute beatdown. Opinions on this? Caleb Williams, Notre Dame, take it away.
I thought going into when we did the preview last week, I said Notre Dame, I think, was like my gut instinct, and I kind of wanted the USC Trojans to win this one, but I think Caleb Williams' Heisman run kind of took a stale aftertaste here. But Notre Dame scores on all 3 phases. They had a kickoff return for a touchdown. They had a defensive touchdown. Obviously scored on offense. Solid bounce back win after dropping a stinker to Louisville. So Marcus Freeman right in the ship.
Well, Louisville was undefeated, but that's another one. They lose at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, who had 1 win.
Yeah, they're 1-4.
Yeah, so now they're 2-4 after beating undefeated Louisville. I'm sorry, dropped Louisville out of the top 25 after that trash. Number 25, Miami, traveled to the Tar Heels. Miami coming off the coaching debacle against Georgia Tech. They were going up against undefeated North Carolina. North Carolina looks solid. Drake May looks great. Tez Walker looks great. Opinions on this one?
I didn't really catch much of this game, but I thought that if Miami was going to lose this game, I felt it was just a stereotype scenario where you just see them collapse. That Miami gets right there, peeking their head through the door, and then just gets shut on them instantly. And that's what happened. Imagine if they won last week, they probably would have had a better locker room vibe going into this one. Possibly could have changed the outcome, but Yeah, Miami is going to Miami, and that's probably their season right there.
Yeah. Oregon State, number 15 in the country, they hosted UCLA. Kind of eliminates UCLA from playoff contention. Oregon gets the win 36-24. They're 6-1. I think their one loss it's not to Utah. Didn't we talk about this already? Who's their one loss to? Is it Washington?
Who are you talking about?
Oregon State. Who'd they lose to? Because
we did talk about this.
Oh, Washington State. And Washington State just got pounded by Arizona this weekend. So the Pac-12 is an absolute train wreck. Some good, some bad, but it's wild out there. The Pac-12 after dark, I'll tell you what, it gets the best of everybody, and it got the best of Washington State.
It's hard to predict, man.
It is. Anything else on week 7? I think we got all the major games here.
Oh, yeah, a couple things. Speaking of Georgia, it sounds like they were losing Brock Bowers for the year, and that's arguably their best player. And so, best tight end in the country, just absolutely been balling out the last 2.5 years. And unfortunately, it's his final year is going to be coming to an early close. So, probably going to be done for football activities until the combine. One would assume. The next one was Iowa winning at Camp Randall with the most Big Ten game ever, 15-6. I only bring this up because obviously Iowa's lost Cade McNamara for the season, and now they lose Eric Gall to a season-ending knee injury. So Iowa's heavily depleted here, and while they are still winning games, they're still not averaging 25 points per game, which Brian Ferentz needs for his contract. It was interesting to see Wisconsin Badgers obviously go from always running the ball a million times a game. Now they're throwing the ball a million times a game. Between both their quarterbacks, they played Tanner Mordecai and the other kid. They threw it combined 50 times and only put up 6 points. And I think it was like 223 yards on that many throws. So that was pretty egregious. And then Iowa's quarterback, Deacon Hill, 6 of 14 for 62 yards. So it's like no matter who they put back there, they're just ass. Spencer Petras, Alex Padilla, whatever the hell that kid's name was, Cade McNamara, Deacon Hill, doesn't matter. Iowa's offense sucks, and they still keep winning games because the Big Ten West is still garbage.
We'll close with Michigan State. Let's talk a little Week 8 games.
Okay.
The biggest game of the day. It belongs in the Big Ten. It's big noon kick. First off, seen some people talking on Facebook about their displeasure with big noon kickoff hosting big games. Where are you at on big noon kickoff as a whole, big games being at noon? Opinions on that, I guess. I feel like we're kind of the same here, but maybe we're not.
I like Michigan playing at noon. I like the big noon kickoffs. It's fun. I like it equally to night games. Like this weekend, Michigan State at 7:30. I really like that. A lot of people want to see their teams get done early so then they can enjoy their Saturday. I'm like, well, I want to enjoy my Saturday and then watch the game at 7:30. So I like it equally as a 7:30 or a 3:30. It does not. I base my schedule around when Michigan plays, and it doesn't hurt my feelings, which either or. But now if I want to compare it to ESPN Game Day, I kind of watch Game Day more just because of the Pat McAfee X factor there. But as big noon kickoff as a whole, I think it's nice. And as according to the panel, I really cannot stand Urban Meyer being on there for obvious reasons. But all in all, it's not that big of a deal to me.
You don't think it depletes the matchup?
No, it doesn't. I mean, again, we had this conversation years ago when a certain Michigan Twitter account was bitching and moaning that he has to drive an X amount of time to and from the stadium during night games, and he doesn't get home till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, brother, it doesn't happen every week. The atmosphere there is a more of an electric, feel to it, depending on who you're playing. So like when Michigan plays Bowling Green, I only enjoy that a little bit more because we have more time tailgating. Other than that, who cares? So
yeah, totally agree.
So I mean, whatever. I mean, noon, 7:30 doesn't matter.
Yeah, for me personally, I think the big noon kickoff crew, Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt, Jenny Taft, that is my ideal crew to call a game. I think they're the best in the game. Love them. I think Klatt's exceptional. I listen to his podcast twice a week now during college football season. It was once a week without college football here. I love Gus Johnson. I think he's fantastic. Even, being a quote unquote Michigan fan, he grew up in Michigan. I think he does an exceptional call on the Buckeye games. He annoys the piss out of me with his touchdown Buckeyes. As a Buckeye fan, I can't understand why you wouldn't like Gus Johnson.
He doesn't. He does a very good job of showing enthusiasm for no matter what team,
what the play, what the team. Yeah, he's exceptional. So I do think Big Noon Kickoff is a fantastic setting for this particular game, and I think if your argument is you want to see this game at night, it has nothing to do with Big Noon Kickoff. Big Noon Kickoff gets a couple of games a year, and obviously the team gets to pick a couple of their night games a year. And, Penn State's whiteout game was against West Virginia on Peacock. You know what I mean? So is what it is, I guess. But also, I'm sorry, they had one against Iowa. That's who it was, Iowa. But Penn State at Ohio State. Ohio State -4. Where are you at on this?
Oh my goodness. My gut's telling me Ohio State's going to win this one in similar fashion to how they did last year, because Penn State was right in the thick of it, and Ohio State just made some plays when it really mattered at the end, which is obviously what you're supposed to do, and they pulled it out. So being in the shoe, it doesn't it obviously doesn't favor Penn State. And this is the game that I talked about in our previews. It's like we got two first-year quarterbacks starting out, and obviously one has to play on the road in a hostile environment. How is he going to fare? So far, Drew Aller has been playing pretty damn well. He's thrown 0 interceptions all year long. He's got 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. He's taking care of the football, man. And he hasn't played, extremely impressive defenses. I mean, against Iowa, he threw 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Playing against Iowa's defense isn't an easy thing to come by. So this is going to be an interesting game, man. And I don't know. I don't even want to make a prediction. I just have a gut feeling Ohio State's going to win because they're at home. But again, you got 2 first-year starters.
15-7, 13-0, 13-0. Most points I've given up all year is 15 to West Virginia. Now, I will say this. There's no barn burners here. It's West Virginia, Delaware, Illinois, Iowa, Northwestern, UMass. This is Ohio State's not even in the same stratosphere as these other teams. They are far and away better. But I do think that this Penn State team can score. And Ohio State's defense is pretty good too. I just think at the end of the day, I think Penn State can find a way to win. But because I said that, Ohio State will win. So it's one of those things where I'm cool with regardless of the outcome, because, we're going to be at the Penn State game here in just a couple of weeks, and I would love an undefeated matchup. That feels huge. But I would also love an undefeated matchup in Ann Arbor at the end of the year too. So I'm cool with however this one plays out. I wish I knew more about Penn State's defense and who can guard Marvin Harrison / Emeka Egbuka. But, yeah, it's going to be a tight game. Tennessee, Alabama. Tennessee with arguably the biggest upset of the year last year, beating Alabama at home. This year it's on the road. Similar outcome. You think Bama takes this one?
I think Bama takes this one. I think I think they're. See, the thing is, weird thing about Alabama is they play like 3 quarterbacks this year. It's like they can't decide on which one they want to roll with.
Yeah.
And then you got Joe Milton. So I want to root for Joe Milton because he's obviously got Michigan ties. But Alabama's won 5 in a row. They just squeaked out one against Arkansas. This one's hard to say. But I think that Alabama's going to win this one because I'm not a fan of Tennessee's defense. Now I know Tennessee statistically hasn't given up a ton of points, but I don't know. I feel like I can rely on the Crimson Tide defense more.
Yeah, I do. I would probably take Tennessee plus the points. It's 9.5. Rooting for our boy Joe Milton. We'll see how that one plays out. A couple more here. Utah, USC. USC's at home. 5-1 Utah, 6-1 USC. 14 versus 18 matchup. USC by 6.5. Utah's defense is pretty solid, but we haven't seen Cam Rising. 8 o'clock, USC in a bounce back. This feels like the play. I think USC wins here.
Same. I agree.
And that's pretty much it. Oh, sorry, one more. Number 16, Duke, 5-1, travels to Tallahassee to play the 6-0 Florida State Seminoles. Can Duke give them a run?
I would think that they can, but Florida State is a 14-point favorite right now.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't tell you on that one.
Duke's lone loss is to Notre Dame. I think Duke can give them a fight. We'll see.
I will say this. I'm like, Duke is going to have their hands full with Keon Coleman. That dude is an absolute monster. The one-handed catch that he just had.
Phil.
It's hilarious to me. Is he used to be a Spartan?
Yeah. No, Phil. Straight Phil. Yeah, let's talk about Spartans. So it's hate week. Michigan, number 2 in the country, 7-0. Travels to East Lansing to play the Michigan State Spartans, 2-4 on the year. They haven't won a Big Ten game. Michigan's favored by 24. It's a rivalry game, so I won't really dog on the line, but it feels too low. This game's 7:30, NBC/Peacock. Take it away.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about the Spartans?
Jim is looking to improve to be 5-4 on top of them. MSU defense ranks in the conference. They're 8th in scoring. They're 8th in scoring offense, 9th in defense, 12th in rush offense, 6th on defense, 6th in passing offense, which is actually tied with Michigan, and the 9th on defense. So even with saying those with inside the top 10 on, this is a conference, so they're about middle of the pack everywhere, but I'm not going to take that lightly. They blew an 18-point lead versus Rutgers last week, and then the previous week against Iowa, they blew a 10-point lead. So finishing in the second half has been obviously an issue. They want to right the ship. They're on a 5 straight losing streak. They are 115th in the nation in penalties, which is 7.5 a game, and they are 3rd in the nation with 15 turnovers. So again, that bodes well for Michigan, being a team that's been really frisky with getting after the ball, whether it's a fumble or interception. Michigan State's top running back, Nathan Carter, he hasn't scored since September 9th versus Richmond. Even their backup, Jalen Berger, same thing. They haven't scored since the second week of the year. Freshman Caden Hauser is going to be making his second start. They've kind of given up on Noah Kim. He's throwing interceptions, like Oprah's passing out free books. Last week, Caden Hauser was 18 of 29 for 133 and 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. So he is mobile. So I really think it's going to come down to JJ McCarthy takes care of the ball and face the pressure when I'm sure Michigan State is going to try to go all out to stop Michigan's run game. So I think this is on number 9's shoulders. The last time he was there, put the ball on the turf a few times, but he also threw a touchdown to Andrew Anthony. So I'm going strictly all on number 9 here, and if Michigan can force the turnovers.
Yeah, so it's obviously for Paul Bunyan, one of the best trophies in all of football. This rivalry, Michigan leads it 72-38. There's 5 ties in there as well. Currently, Michigan's on a 1-game win streak. They lost back in 2021. Obviously, last year's was surrounded by the tunnel incident after the game. It's kind of funny because it's just like I think I talked about this last year when we were doing the pregame. Or there's always a caveat to these games. 2022 assault in the tunnel. 2021 was the undefeated top 10 matchup. 2020 was the Halloween pandemic upset. 2018 was the pregame squibbish with Devin Bush on the field. 2017 they had their first ever night game. 2015 trouble with the snap. 2013 the negative 48 yards rush. There's always some sort of storyline that follows this game. I'm curious of what it is now. Hopefully it's beat down in East Lansing and Michigan just kind of pummels them. But Michigan has 5 victories since 2012, and let's call it since 2008, 5 victories, and Michigan State has 4, 7, 10. So, I mean, to be honest, they've kind of dominated us ever since the little brother comment. Michigan's had a couple of victories, and the one thing that Harbaugh has done in all of his victories over Michigan State, he's beat them down outside of one, where Michigan State's kind of winning by just a couple of points every time. So if Michigan gets out of a big lead, you'd have to imagine they have this one under control. If it's tight in the fourth quarter, you just never know how it's going to go.
You really never know. I mean, I know 2020 was not a very good Michigan team, but at the time we didn't know it. And going into that, they were a 20-point favorite, and Michigan State comes out and steals one with Rocky Lombardi. So this is a rivalry game. Michigan and history has shown, especially with certain players in the Lloyd Carr era, of not taking it super serious or as serious as they should. And Michigan State capitalizes on that. And, this is the game that they, out of all of them, they mark in red. This is the one they want the most. And like I said, they're on a 5-game losing streak. What better to right the ship than this weekend? So I'm sure Michigan's obviously 180 the culture in 2021 on. So I don't have any reservations on them, not being ready in the state of mind per se. So, you got guys on this team that have lost to them in 21 and beat them last year. They don't want 2021 to repeat itself. And so this is a game where I personally can't watch it with too many people. And if I do, it has to be a specific, person here or there, because this is one where I hate Michigan State more than any other team on Michigan's schedule every year. And this is one where I'm on the edge of my seat the whole time. So hopefully Michigan can go out and squash these guys. This is a game where I wish 2019 happened every year. They beat them 44-10 that year. Shea Patterson obliterated them through the air. That's how I hope it happens every single time. But then again, you have these other years where even when State is garbage, they always seem to score a touchdown first. And it's like, oh boy, here we go again. But Michigan settles in, and it's a war. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight game. I hope Michigan throttles them and we move on. Treat them like they're not even a rivalry. Treat them like they're formerly Rutgers. But I guess time will tell. Anything else on Indiana, on Week 7, Michigan State, Week 8 games? Anything else in college football?
Not really. Just itchy for this weekend. We got not a lot of top tier matchups outside of the Big Ten, but we got UFC in the afternoon because they're in Abu Dhabi, so definitely have some television to watch.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't yet, follow the YouTube page, like the Twitter account, share the podcast, tell your friends. It's been slowly getting a facelift towards just the Michigan gear. So hopefully you guys like the new logo. I'll kind of just do something together. But yeah, see you guys next time. We're out.
Ooh.